have 3 different pots for you to choose. And I'm just going to go with this medium one. So you want to think about where you're going to put it before you choose your pot size today. They all will hang, but once you water it, it's going to be heavy. So you can put a hanger on them and hang them over your kitchen sink, out in your patio, or you can just set it down on a doorstep. So just think about where you're going to put it before you decide what size pot you want. And as Happy mentioned, you want that space in the bottom for drainage, right? You'll notice these all have holes, but they also have a drainage liner, and that creates that space to separate your soil from your water. So you don't have to put heavy rocks in something that you're going to hang, okay, which adds a lot of weight. So we are first going to just use our potting mix. And this is an organic, certified organic potting mix. And Happy talked a little bit about potting mix. This white, I don't know if you've really looked at what you're getting in your potting mix, but the white is perlite, which is a volcanic rock, which you'll see in all kinds of propagation mixes when you go to nurseries, and it creates space. It dries really quickly, and you'll find it in propagation mixes because you want it to provide structure for roots to form from a seed. But it doesn't hold moisture, so you want a nice combination of other things with your perlite. So a potting soil is different from a propagation mix in that aspect. All right, a propagation mix is really intended for seed only, germination, and then you're going to transition and pot up to something bigger with potting mix. Whatever potting mix you choose, I highly recommend that you make sure that it's been sterilized. Otherwise, it's subject to giving you all kinds of weed or disease problems. So it needs to be heated to a point where it's sterilized, right? To make sure it's all that's been killed before you start putting your plants in. Okay, so you are just going to fill this to the top, and you're going to shake it down. We are doing a dry mix today. When you use propagation mix, you get it wet and until you can squeeze it into a ball, and then you're going to put it in your propagation trays because you want really good moist seed to soil contact when you're starting seeds. And we're going to do a little of both. So we're going to plant our transplants first in the dry, we're going to water, and then we're going to transplant, and then we'll do our seeds, and then we're going to water again. Okay? So we're going to shake that down, and we'll go back. And I did not put these here for a snack. These are my best tool you can use to lift out of your 6-packs. You can buy all kinds of expensive fancy tools, but you really just need a fork. All right, now I highly recommend you put your tallest plant in the middle. It's going to need the most space. And if you have roots that are swirling around, or sometimes it's just a solid mass, you want to just loosen those up. Okay, so we want them to grow down again. We don't want them to keep going around. We want them to go down, so we want those facing the right direction, and we are going to put this as deep as it was planted before, all the way to the bottom of that plant. And you can pull off any dead leaves. Okay, so we have our tall one in the middle, and then we're going to grab a couple other things. I'm going to put a root, a beet, and a pea. And these are sugar snap peas. You want to think about what you put in your pots, right? It doesn't make sense to put shelling peas in, right? But sugar snap peas you can pinch off and put in your garden. Shelling peas, you need like 100-foot row just to have like a cup on your plate. So that's not going to happen in a small container. So again, I just use my fork. I lift this out. Most things you find at the nursery are going to be root bound this time of year, unless it is a new fall crop. But these have been there for a while. And so I'm going to just plant 3 outside of this. Again, going as deep as I can. Now, I want to set some realistic expectations here. When you're planting beets or carrots in a salad bowl, they're not going to grow to what you see at the grocery store, right? And you might just be harvesting the greens, because the beet greens are absolutely delicious. And there are some varieties like bull's blood beets are beautiful purple and red, and they're so good. They have this wonderful earthy flavor. So, and those are things you can start by seed right now. Okay, these are all cold crops. They're all going to be perfect for the fall time. So after you do 3 of those other transplants, I don't want to use them all up, so you can use them. Then we're going to go back and water, okay? Just gently water to get everything to settle. I'm going to leave this here. Sorry, you can just stay there. I did this in stages. So this one, this one is already wet. I planted it last night. And so you can see, I have my tall one in the middle. I have my peas hanging out, my carrot hanging out, my spinach here. And I have a couple little tiny kales and a mustard. So you see how I have my successions in there? So now I'm going to take some seeds, and I really want some lollipop radishes, which grow in 21 days. Yeah, your lettuces will grow in about 45 days, and I'm just going to sprinkle these radishes in here, and they're going to pop up. I'm just going to go back and put a little more soil on it and water it one more time. And that's it. I'm really going over here this time. So I'm just going to sprinkle. Really, you want 1/8 to 1/4 inch. It doesn't need a lot, just a tiny bit to cover those seeds. Again, when you're planting seeds, you want really good seed to soil contact, which is why we're going to get it wet again. If your seeds are just loose, they're not going to germinate. Whoop. You also, when you water seeds, you want to do it really gently, or it can really displace your seed, which may or may not be a big deal if you want it in a certain place. It's yeah.
Your preference of sprinkling them and then covering with more dirt as opposed to just stirring them into the dirt you have?
That's just because I know when I water this, it's all going to settle. And I just want it to be full. If you want it sunk, that's fine. You don't have to. You can stir them in. You just want really good soil to seed contact. And then lastly, I have mixed up some fish fertilizer. And it's really important to fertilize after you water, because you want your plant to be in this uptake. It's already sucking up the water through its system, the vascular system of the plant. So it's really important to apply your fertilizer first, water first, and then fertilize. And it doesn't take very much, but we watered. Now, oh, there we go. We're just going to put some liquid fish on here. And this is a foliar application, so I'm not putting it on the soil. I'm putting it on the leaves, okay? That's where it needs to go. Ta-da! And you have a salad bowl.